Okay, what we're going to be doing today is installing an SDI door. That's a swing door with an inline panel. The door we're using today happens to be all rub bronze with rain glass. I've got my door unpacked. I've got my hardware kit. I'm getting ready to unpack it. And the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to unpack all of my metal. I'm going to stand it up in the corner so I have easy access to it. Once again, do not use a razor blade knife to take this apart. People want to do that because it's easier, but there's metal in here, and the last thing you want to do is cut through the paper and scratch your metal. So we'll just kind of pull it off. You can unwrap it or take it off like that. I always think it's a good idea to lay out all of my parts before I start my install. That way I know I have them here and I know where they are and I'm not kicking them around. If you have a shelf or a vanity or something like that, it's a good place to put them. The first thing we're going to have is our number 8 by 1.5 inch screws. We use these to screw the wall channel into the wall. Next we're going to have the 3/8 inch by number 6 screws. These are made to screw all of my metal parts together. We're going to have our wall anchors, which goes where we drill our 3/16 holes. We have our catch vinyl, and we have our magnetic catch. We have a Allen wrench for adjusting and installing our handle. And if you happen to have an inline panel, you'll have setting blocks for your inline panel. Now you'll notice the curb and the header look very, very similar, but there is one big difference. The curb is going to have holes in it. There's going to be 3 or 4 holes in it, and these are weep holes. They are mounted to the inside of your shower. You do not want to put them on the outside, and you want to make sure they go on the bottom, not on the top. First of all, we are going to determine the center line of our curb, and then we're going to measure and cut our sill to size. So we are at 44 3/8 wide. I'm going to cut this right at a 44 1/4 strong. And remember, I'm going to be cutting my bottom sill with the holes in it. I have already pre-cut this one for the sake of time. It is at 44 1/4 inches long. I'm going to take it and I'm going to center it on my center measurements. And that would be step number 1. Now that we have our sill in the center line, we're going to put this up plumb. Now I've got it on the bottom, I've got my level here, and I am going to have 3 holes on each side. I'm going to get them in level. I'm going to mark all 3 holes. Okay, and there we go. All right, so now that we have our hole marked, the next thing we're going to do is drill 3 holes on each side where we have our marks. Okay, now that I have my holes marked where I'm going to be doing the drilling, we are going to use a 3/16 masonry drill bit. This is very important. I want you to get a good shot of this bit here. You want to use a masonry bit, not a high-speed drill bit. This is made to go through tile. Make sure it's 3/16. And we're just going to drill. Okay, now that I've drilled this hole, we are going to repeat this 2 more times on this side, 3 times on this side. We're going to have our 6 holes, and then we're going to put our plugs in, and then we're going to mount our wall jambs to the tile. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is put on our wall anchors where we've drilled our holes. Give them a little tap with your mallet. Okay, I'm going to use a number 2 screwdriver. You can either use a impact drill, a screwdriver, or a regular drill to apply this. Just be careful if you're using a drill not to over tighten things. We're going to use our number 8 by 1.5 inch screws, and we are going to cinch them down tight, not too tight to strip everything out, but you want them in there good and firm. Okay, everything's on there good and tight. Like the way that feels, and we'll move on to the next one there. Now that we got this done, we've got our sill installed, we've got our wall jambs up tight. Next thing we have to do is cut the header. The header is going to be just like the sill. You're going to measure it tight, subtract a 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch. Right now we're showing 44 3/8 wide, so we're going to cut this just strong of 44 1/4. And once again, this piece has already been pre-cut for the sake of a video, but I'm just going to double check my size. And I am at 44 and between 1/4 and 5/16. So that's right where I want her. We're going to give it a test fit, see how she looks when we put her up there. And you're going to pull it down on top. There's a little ridge inside here, and you've just kind of got to pop it a little bit, and it'll sit right on there. And once it's there, it seats really well. Now, as I take this out of the box, one of the things that you really need to remember is this glass has no frame around the edges. So you got to be careful when you handle it, just like you did the door. Do not set it on tile. I would not set this glass inside this shower, not unless I put a piece of wood down or a thick piece of carpet so that it's not going to touch tile. I can set it on the floor. It's got carpet, or you can set it on a hardwood. But that's one of your biggest concerns when you're taking these apart and handling this glass, is that you're not bumping it and breaking it. We're going to install our fixed panel. On this door that we're doing today, the fixed panel is going to go on the left, the door is going to go on the right, and this is what we call a hinge right door. And so we'll get into that in a little bit, but right now we want to focus on getting this panel into place. Okay, the first thing I'm going to need to do is take my header back off and sit that back over in this corner. I'm going to measure the width of my panel glass, which is 19 inches in this case. All right, I'm going to have 2 setting blocks. That way I can set this glass down inside that metal channel. And remember, we don't want to set the glass on metal, so we've got 2 setting blocks to set this on. There's my 19 inches. I'm going to come in about 3 inches on each side and set my setting blocks in place. And this is exactly where I'm going to set my glass. Before I set this is very important. We need to back seal both of these corners, because when water comes in here, remember we have the weep holes on the inside. What we want to do is let the water be able to come in, because it will, and weep back out without coming through these corners. So I'm going to take silicone and I am going to caulk right inside of both of these corners. All right, what we want to do here is get enough silicone in here that we have completely filled up this corner, but we don't want so much that it's actually going to start squishing out. It's going to make a mess on it. So you just want to get it in there, and you're going to look, and you can see if you've covered it real well, and just there's a couple little nooks and crannies in there, and you just want to make sure you fill them up nice. All right, now we're going to set our panel. Bring it over here. We're going to set it right on top of our stops, and then after we get it here, I just use my foot and I kind of kick it over in place a little bit. You want to tuck in about 3/8 of an inch, 1/2 inch or so, and you've got a good seat. And so there's our panel sitting in place. Next step here, we're going to put our H post in. We call this a 180-degree post, an H post, divider post. It's all the same. But I want you to notice there are 2 shapes to this post. You're going to have part of it's going to be concaved or have a little bit of a detail to it, and the other part's perfectly flat. What we're going to do, the flat part is built just like this wall jamb. This is going to accept your door. The concave or the decorative part is going to go against your glass. So all you do, set it down in the channel, kick it over with your foot a little bit, and you're pretty much in place. All right. Our next step is to reinstall our header. And now we're going to install, and make sure you hang on to this because it will want to just kind of fall off on you there. And you're going to, doesn't matter which end you start at, you're just going to put it down over both your wall jambs. And once again, you got to kind of seat them in place to make sure they're fitting the way you want. All right, so once we have this seated, we've got it pulled down exactly how we want it. We're pretty much done at this point. We got to lock a few things in place, but we're getting ready to mount our door. Okay, our next step at this point is to put in our snap-in fillers. You're going to have one at the top into the header. You're going to have one going in the bottom into your sill. And before we do this, once again, we've got to take our caulking and we're going to caulk this corner now. Okay, the next step is very critical. We are going to be cutting your snap-in fillers. Once again, for your up in the header, down in your curb. These have to be to the size to match the door that you were installing. They're going to come long in the kit, but it's a real simple process on how to cut these to size. I'm measuring from the edge of the glass to the end of the hinge rail, and that is 22 and 11/16. Now, if you measure this and cut it a 16th short or 16th long, it's not the end of the world. You got plenty of adjustment on here. All right, my next step, I'm going to take this over to my saw. I'm going to give it a cut. I'm going to cut it to size, and there's actually two. We're going to have one for the top, one for the bottom. They both have to be exactly the same size. Okay, now that I have them both cut, I'm just going to put them up to my door here. Make sure I like the way they fit. That one's good. That one's good. Okay. So our next step is to install these into place. I'm going to move this door out of the way. Okay. Something you got to notice on these snap-in fillers. Let me stick this one off to the side here. All right, you're going to notice on a snap-in filler, it's going to have two legs on the bottom. These two legs actually snap up into your channel or down into your sill. Then it's going to have another leg right here on the back side. This always goes to the outside of your door. That way when the water comes in here, it channels back in and it keeps it, it works as like a little dam to keep the water from coming out of your door. All right, you're going to need a mallet. What you do is you lay it in here and you want to stick it tight against your wall jamb. Okay, do not worry about this side. This side can still move. I haven't anchored it down yet. All right, you're going to take it right here and you're just going to give it, you snap in one side, like the front or the back, it doesn't matter which. Give it a little tap and it snapped right in. I'm going to take my H-post and I'm going to pull it tight up against my snap-in. Right there. So now my post is fitting tight against my rail. Okay, we're going to do the same thing at the top. We're going to get ourselves mounted up here. Just lock in one side. Now this header is not screwed down right now, so if I start hitting it, the header is going to pop up. So I've got my hand on top of it, just kind of hold it. There we go. And I did come out of my header a little bit there. And we'll just reseat it, and we're good to go. I'm going to take my H-post and pull it in tight. And there we go. Everything's seated down. I want to make sure before I go on that everything still stays seated and that everything is tight. Your metal is tight everywhere so we don't have any gaps. That's what we don't want at this point. What we're going to do next is we're going to drill holes and we're going to permanently anchor your header into place, into the wall jamb or the wall channel. We're going to anchor it into your H-post and we're going to anchor it into this wall channel. So you want to be careful as you're drilling the holes in this piece right here especially, because you're going to be having you're going to have a piece of glass there, not to drill into the glass. Okay, what I've done here is I've taken a cutaway view of this header and this H-post to show you what it's going to look like when they fit together. Notice that the H-post does not fit all the way into the top of the header, but it only fits part way. So when you're drilling your holes on the inside of the shower, you do not want your holes up here at the top. You want your holes down in here so that your screw will lock you in to your H-post. Okay, you notice my screw has gone through my header into my H-post, and that has locked these two pieces together. All right, so what we're going to do now is anchor the header into the wall jamb, my header into the H-post, and into this wall jamb. Also, I'm going to anchor this H-post into my curb. And I'm going to do that by drilling holes on the inside, 3 at the top, 1 here at the bottom, and then anchor them with the small number 6 by 3/8 inch screws. All right, on the H-post, I'm going to put it on the door side of the post, not the glass side of the post, so that I don't have to worry about catching the glass. I'm going to take that and pull it tight and get rid of that space that I had in there. You really want your doors to fit tight. Make sure you use a number 31 drill bit on all of these small holes right here. There's a lot of people out there that will use an 1/8 inch drill bit on that. It's really too big of a hole and your screws will fit in kind of sloppy. A number 31 you can get at most hardware store, and that really works perfect for these number 6 screws. Okay, now I'm going to apply the screws to the holes I just drilled. We're going to use the number 6 by 3/8 screws. Okay, now that I've got everything anchored down, I want to make sure that my panel is actually centered between the two pieces. I don't want all my glass over this edge and it's barely hanging in here, or vice versa. So I just kind of take a visual look of where my glass is sitting inside of here and here, and I'm going to move this around to where I think it's good and centered, and that is centered right there. I can see by here I got plenty of clearance on both sides, so we're right where we want to be. We're going to glaze this on both sides of the glass. I like to start by using my vertical vinyl. Now it's going to be very important when you set this. People get this mixed up a lot. If you look at it, right there, there's a distinct shape to this vinyl. On the inside right here, it's pretty flat. On the outside, and this is the glass side, by the way, right here. On this side, it's got a ridge and it's got some detail to it. This is the outside, or fits away from the glass. This is the part that you're going to see when you're done glazing this channel. You will not see anything else but this edge right here. So it's important that we do that. Another thing, this job is very difficult to do unless you use glass cleaner. Sprayway is a good glass cleaner, by the way. You're going to need a set of scissors to cut this with. You can use a pair of diagonal pliers or whatever, but the scissors work really good to cut this. Don't run with these. So when we apply this, remember the flat part goes toward the glass and the ridged part goes away from your glass. Put the inside on first, and as you put this on, it will not stay in place because there's not another piece on the outside to cause friction. So you kind of take your fingers and just push on the glass, and that'll hold it in place for you. And you run that bit, just run it down about 2 or 3 feet. Then at the top, to get it started, it does not go in easy at all. You're just going to kind of hold it in there a little bit to get it in place. You're going to need a wood block. This is a 1x6. You can use a 1x4. You just want something with a flat edge on it. I use this all the time, so I've kind of made it to fit my hand there a little bit. You're going to want some glass cleaner. The glass cleaner is going to provide lubricant. Get a little start on it. Pull this part away right here. Don't squirt the vinyl, squirt your hand. And then just take your hand and use it to lubricate up this vinyl. And this will go in 10 times easier. You'll really be glad you did that. All right, so you get that on there. And then you just kind of tap it in place. And you don't want to get it down farther than what you've worked on the inside. All right, you're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut this, about an 1/8 inch longer than your metal, maybe a 1/4 inch longer. You don't want to cut it short, and you're going to do the same thing on the inside. And you're just going to finish off this side. Take a good look at everything. Up here at the top, I didn't have any lubrication, so sometimes a mallet will just finish the job for you. Give that a couple little taps. Sometimes it wants to push out a little bit from all the force you just exerted on it. Now that I've applied this side on here, I'm going to do the exact same thing Out here, do it the exact same way. Use my lubricant, cut it to size, use your setting block. Now that we got our small vertical vinyl in place, we're going to put in our large horizontal. Once again, it goes inside and out, 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom. Okay, it's important that when you install this vinyl, this piece here goes up inside the track, or in the case of the bottom, down inside the track. This part right here goes to the outside. This is the part that you're going to see visually from the outside. And the part that's, I can't call it flat, but it's smooth, with the exception, I guess, of that little ridge right there. That goes toward the glass. And as you can see, there's the inside towards the glass. There's the outside that you're looking at. All right, we're going to start at the bottom. We're going to put one piece down here on the inside and right here on the outside. Once again, I'm going to take the part that you're not going to see, and I'm going to tuck that right into the frame. Get out of the way so you can see this. And this goes in real easy. You just take it and you push it down. One of the things you don't want to do is stretch this vinyl as you're doing it, and that also goes for this vinyl. One of the mistakes a lot of people make is as they're applying the vinyl, they're stretching it out, and over a week or 2 period, it'll stretch back, and next thing your vinyl is 1 inch short or 2 inches short because it shrunk back down. So you don't want to be pushing away, you just want to push straight down. And then you're going to try to cut it about 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch long, and it's going to seem like it's too long. That's okay, just pull a little vinyl out, start here, and then just work it back toward itself this way, and it'll just kind of compress a little bit for you so you can put that on. I'm going to do the same thing on the inside, and then I'm going to repeat the process for the top. Now that we have everything glazed, next thing we're going to do is install our shower door. Shower door consists of 2 parts. We have our strike jamb and we have our shower door. The shower door is going to go over here on the right. The strike jamb is going to fit against our H post here on the left. I'm going to install the strike jamb first onto the H post. And we're not going to mount this down yet. We just want to have it in there kind of loose so we can maneuver it around and get the fit that we want to have. The next thing I'm going to do is mount my door. But before I do this, I need to have my drill ready with the number 31 drill bit in it and one of my number 6 by 3/8 small screws that we've been using to mount everything else. It's a good idea to have everything in place here, because when you set your door up here in place, if you have to go and find tools, your door is going to fall out. You want to be able to hang on to it. So get yourself a little bit staged here so that you can mount your door. Now, if you have somebody with you to help you, to hold you in place or to hold your door in place, that can be real handy. We start off, we just slip the door over the post, and there we go. Put your foot on there to kind of hold it in place. Okay, now without letting go of the door, I just want to kind of see how my fit and my reveal. One of the important reveals is this one right here. You want that same, about a 1/2 inch space or a finger's thickness all the way across there. If I take this door and I tilt it this way, I can lower this side. If I tilt it back that way, I can actually raise this side. So that's how we get that reveal. We want, at this point, I'm going to put a temporary screw in the top here, but I kind of want to have it about right where I want it before I mount this screw, because you don't want to put 2 holes in it in case you got to relocate it. And so it's a good idea to get that one right in the first time. I'm going to take this actually and move it this way a little bit. And I like that right there. I've got a good reveal right here. I'm going to put a set screw in it right now. Now when I do this, I'm drilling through, I'll show you on the outside here. I am drilling through my hinge rail that fits on top of my wall channel. I'm just going to drill a hole straight through the rail into the channel. I'm going to come down about 3 inches and mount it right there. I'm going to do the same thing at the bottom, and then I'll put a third one in the center. But for now, I'm just going to put the one to hold the door in place for me. Okay, now I have that in there. I can move the door around, maneuver it without any fear or danger that this door is going to fall off. Okay, the first thing we want to do is get our other 2 screws on this side mounted, get my door in place, and then after that we'll mount 3 more screws or install 3 more screws along here after we get a good reveal. So first, I just want to look, make sure I've got good spacing everywhere. And you're going to move this around just a little bit. Once you determine the door is in the place where you want it, good idea. This isn't exactly where I want it, but I just want to see how she's going to fit before I start locking everything down. So I've got a really good fit here. I've got a nice reveal right here. I've got about 1/4 of an inch down here. Once again, I can still move this one. So I feel good that I can drill my 2nd hole here and my 3rd hole here on the inside to lock my door in place. Okay. All right, we're completely screwed into place now. One of the last steps we have is to mount our handle. You're going to have your washer and your grommet. You're going to slide it through the glass, through the other washer, and onto the handle. You're going to screw it in place. You don't want to get this real tight right now, just kind of get it hand tight. Leave it a little bit wobbly because I've still got another side to put on. And I like to leave it all together and just take them apart one at a time so I don't have loose parts laying all around. And once again, we're going to stick it right through there like this. Now, as you can see here, we have a washer on the outside. You have the grommet that's going to go actually inside the glass area where the hole is. And then we're going to have another washer on this side. And we're going to tighten it down with my set screw, my large set screw, and we're going to just do it hand tight. Okay, now that I've got it hand tight, we still got to get it a little tighter. You do not want to over tighten this because of the fact these washers will crack. And you just want to take it in there and give it maybe 1/8 of a turn, just a little bit after hand tight, to make it snug, and that keeps your handle from wiggling around, and you've got a good fit right there. Now, after we place the inside handle, we're going to mount the outside. It has 2 set screws, and we're going to put the set screws towards the bottom, not towards the top. You don't want to see these. And so we're going to use an Allen wrench to set them in place. It's real simple. All right, first of all, we have to back out our set screws far enough that we can apply them over the large set screws. Once you get the handle in place, you're going to take your Allen wrench and you're just going to tighten them down kind of snug. And once that one's in place, you do the same here. Make sure it's tight up against the glass as you tighten this. And there we go. And there's your handle. Now we're going to install our magnetic catch. Now we have our catch vinyl and we have our catch. The catch vinyl actually sits on top of the glass like this. Your magnetic catch fits over your vinyl with the metal piece or the stainless steel towards the inside that actually sticks to your magnet. When we do this, we want to make sure that our catch is in line with our magnets on our strike post. We don't want it sitting up here, down here, or even part way. We want it right there in place so that it will actually catch on the magnet. And so to do that, we just set it here we line up our vinyl right where our magnets are, and we like that. We're going to lubricate this. This will go on a lot easier if you lubricate it. And I don't like to hammer it this way because it goes against my hinge. When I tap it on, I like to have the door straight so it's pushing against the wall. That's kind of a nice little point there. And we check to make sure it's where we want it. Use a mallet, not a hammer. If you miss and hit the edge of this glass, it won't be good. All right. And there she goes. She shuts. We're going to take a paper towel and clean that off a little bit. And there you have it.